the president got into this. He announced a war on fraud. And this is where Ilhan Omar got super exercised and started screaming at him, "That's a lie," and more. Watch.
Where members of the Somali community have pillaged an estimated $19 billion from the American taxpayer. Oh, we have all the information. I am officially announcing the war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President J.D. Vance. The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world where bribery, corruption, and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception.
So he says Somali pirates. J.D. Vance and Mike Johnson start laughing. They cut to Ilhan Omar, who's just looking distressed in the audience. But she was yelling, "That's a lie," when he said they've been plundering America. There's no more stunning example than Minnesota, where members of the Somali community have pillaged an estimated $19 billion with a B, from the American taxpayer. Well, here again, the federal prosecutors say it is at least $9 billion up to $18 billion. They said they're still trying to determine just how much of that remaining $9 billion was part of this same Somali fraud scheme, where they used these 14 Minnesota programs meant to help people, but abused them and didn't help anybody other than lining their own pockets for fake programs involving nutrition, housing, and autism research. Remember that one? It was all bullshit. And that's just scratching the surface, as Trump said, because the fraud went well beyond that. If you want to go back a couple of years to COVID, they're looking into that now at the federal government level, not just in Minnesota, but in many states. But there's nothing he said that was false at all, Carl. And this was a moment I would suggest the president welcomed.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's two things about this story that I don't understand when it comes to Ilhan Omar. And the first, I don't understand why she would defend this. I think, to me, she ought to get out in front of it, and she ought to go back to her community, and she ought to say, we're better than this. We don't want to be known for this. We need to root this out. You need to help the government. She's not acting like, to my mind, like a member of Congress who's protective of the Treasury, but rather like, an aggrieved minority who feels she's being singled out. And I don't think that's the right move, because this fraud is real.